Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel and welcome back to Avocet Point in Planet Zoo. Today we're going to be building a little habitat for a few adorable little Arctic foxes. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to build and it's nice to be getting back into the swing of Planet Zoo because of course the past few months I've been a bit creatively blocked out of it, but I'm feeling like I'm really getting back into the flow and I'm really enjoying building at the moment. So yeah, more Avocet Point episodes, here we come. You may have noticed as well, my usual intro isn't at the beginning of the video today. I've actually decided to kind of retire that. I just thought, this whole time I've had that intro, it doesn't really serve to do much. It's just kind of the name of the channel, and it takes up like a good 5 seconds of time. So I might as well just hop straight into the video and really, get straight to the meat and potatoes of it, really. I saw like a discussion of this on Twitter with some other people who do the Planet Zoo YouTube. And it just seems like that's kind of like what people do, and it makes a lot of sense, honestly, in my head. Like, I always just used it kind of as a stylistic thing, but it makes more sense to just kind of go straight into the video, and I'll still have that little bit of intro, where I show you like what today's build looks like, plus the title of the series, be it Avocet Point or one of the bioparks or anything like that. But I think that just makes for a much more, clean, straightforward viewing experience, so I hope you guys enjoyed that change. And I think it'll be nice. It'll just make things a bit more neat and tidy, and it'll make it easy to get into the flow of the video, really. So yeah, that's how that's gonna go. And like I said, today we're gonna be doing an Arctic fox habitat. These guys are super cute. We got them as part of the, I want to say the North America pack. Was it? I believe so. I believe it's the North America pack. However, they do cover quite a lot of space across the planet. They are around the Arctic Circle, which means they really stretch in terms of distribution all the way from North America right up to Europe and even Northern Asia. So, very large range. I mean, it sounds very large, but because it's around the Arctic Circle, it's not as big as it might seem on a world map, because of course the world map is a flat plane, whereas, there would be a tiny kind of ring around the Arctic. I say tiny, it's still massive. And yeah, the habitat's going to be very similar to the badger habitat from last week. It's going to be very similar because, well, I like the idea of this part of the zoo being kind of a rotational style habitat system where they have a few different habitats that look very similar and they rotate a bunch of different small animals through them, depending on the season, or if they have different animals at the time. They might trade with other zoos and stuff, and they'll have different animals on show, but the habitats remain relatively similar, and they're kind of built to accommodate a lot of different small animals. So anything that digs or is kind of within the size range would fit into any of these habitats. So think badger, the Arctic fox, things like meerkats or any other small kind of digging mammals would really fit well in any of these habitats. The prairie dog, for example, would fit brilliantly. So kind of that's the lore behind it for the zoo, and I would imagine like some zoos have systems like this, I think. And I think it ends up looking quite cool having a few of these similar habitats. It won't just be these two, I think I'll do a few more. And I think they'll surround like a central staff area, so behind where these habitats are, I'll probably make a central staff bit for where the staff will actually be. And I just think that will look quite cool. Initially, I thought about making just this whole thing like a small animal house where guests could actually go inside and get like a backstage view of these animals. Might still do something like that, but we'll see how it goes, because right now the shelter areas are really basic. They're just concrete with bedding and stuff like that. I probably want to make them a bit nicer if I'm gonna do like that idea of a backstage kind of viewing area for the guests, so we'll see how that goes. I'm really liking playing around with breeze block because it looks like it's a very, I want to say almost like a classy material. It looks really cool and quite classic and very visually nice, but it also doesn't look expensive. It looks very much like this zoo would very much be able to fit this within their budget, so I think that works out brilliantly. But yeah, while we're building this habitat, because it is going to be quite similar to last week's habitat, let's talk a little bit about the Arctic fox itself, which is an adorable animal that I haven't really had the chance to put in game yet. It is so cute, especially in the game. They have some adorable animations where they play with each other and stuff, and they're super interesting animals. They're a canine, of course, that live really far north in extremely cold temperatures, and like the temperatures don't stay cold. Like, there is a big fluctuation between the temperatures as well out there, so they have to be able to tolerate so many different conditions, and they're just incredibly hardy animals. They're also digging animals. They make burrows. Some of these burrows actually extend for huge amounts of space, up to 1 kilometer squared. So, like, you know, we talked about the badgers and the prairie dogs and all that having really big tunnel complexes. The Arctic fox is similar, not quite to that extent, but still very similar. And these dens and these tunnels can actually last for years and years, to the point where many generations of Arctic foxes actually use them as homes. So it's very cool. And especially during winter times, when it's exceptionally cold, we're talking it gets to, like, you know, negative like 70 degrees Celsius or more, like in terms of how cold it gets. They have this kind of system where they'll go out and hunt and bring back food to the burrow within a certain radius. So I think the ecologists who study this can call it like a commuting system, like how you would commute to work. They commute to their hunting grounds, get their food, come back, that sort of thing. But yeah, super cool. And like when I mentioned that 70 degrees Celsius, negative 70 degrees Celsius number, that was also because they live in such cold temperatures, they don't even start shivering until the temperature drops to negative 70 degrees. That is ridiculous. Like, as someone myself, I do not do well in the cold. Like, gosh, it could be like I was from the equator, so even back home, whenever we turned on the air conditioning, I was just done. I was like, nope, too cold for me. I'm gonna turn the heating back up. So like, now that I live in the UK as well, winters are not a fun time for me. So I very much respect these animals and their ability to do this. They also have some really interesting coat patterns. Sorry, not patterns, colors. Arctic foxes, of course, are very well known for being a bright white color for blending in with the snow, and they have a summer coat as well, which is a more brown color. But there's actually two distinct genetic morphs. There's the white coat, which has a brown version in the summer, but there's also a blue morph, which we have in this habitat here. I put in 3 blue morph coats and 1 white one. The blue morph is actually not like a summer coat, it's its own thing. And they kind of exist in different ranges, so you'd find the blue coat in different places, I think. I'm not 100% sure on this part of it, but that seems to be kind of where I get what it seems to kind of what I interpret it as. I'm not 100% sure on this though, so definitely take that with a bit of a grain of salt. It is interesting though, they are called a white morph and blue morph, so they're more like how different snakes can have different morphs of colors, rather than them being like I don't really know how it works, honestly. I'll have to do a little bit more reading into this, but I'll come back to it at some point if I do find out a little bit more, and if we have another animal with, you know, the morph system. But in either case, 99% of Arctic foxes do have the white morph, so that's a lot more prevalent. And the blue morph doesn't actually have a change according to seasons. Only the white morph changes to brown in the summer, but the blue morph stays blue all year round. And I think the blue morph is so cool looking, by the way. That's why I have 3 of them here. I think they look super unique. And here, of course, I'm just finally putting in the last bits of foliage in. Again, going with those ponytail palms, because they look like such beautiful like feature plants and really make the habitat stand out quite a lot. And of course, it might not look like a very cold habitat. It's definitely not well suited for cold weather animals. So for the indoor habitat, I made sure to add some air conditioning units on top to show that if they need to be cooler a little bit, they can go in here. But of course, at the end of the day, this is a zoo based in the UK. Even though the habitat itself might look a bit arid, it will be in colder conditions for most of the year, aside from summer, where I imagine they'll be indoors more often. But yeah, that is it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Definitely stick around for the cinematics. There's some adorable footage of the Arctic foxes playing around. They're so cute. Really like how this came out. Again, very similar to last week's build, but I think it looks nice. And I think I like having very similar buildings and habitat next to each other, but with enough minor differences that it is still very interesting to watch and very interesting to look at. So I hope I managed to achieve that, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Do leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought. Leave suggestions for other sections of the zoo or for other animals to include. Yeah, feel free to leave a like if you did enjoy the video as well, and if you did like it. Do subscribe for more Planet Zoo content. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!